Well, what is going on, gang? Welcome back to Therapeutic Edge. So recently I shared with you that I picked up this, which is the Microtech Matrix, sort of a subframe lock design. This has been the Kershaw Matrix, the original Microtech Matrix, the ZT 0770, and the 0777. Anyway, there's been a lot of knives. It's just a design that's been out there for a while. And while I was doing that, I realized what I'd really like to do is share my entire Microtech collection with you, if that's okay. So we're going to start actually with the first thing that I got a long time ago, which is this. This is the full auto stitch. Now the stitch is a Borka design brought to life by the folks at Microtech. It's aluminum. This one is M390. It's just a fantastic design. And for years, I said that if they ever made a manual version of this, I would have to have one. And then lo and behold, they did. You saw this recently in a video. I love these. But it is it's become a thing. I don't like OTFs very much. I have two. They're not really my style of knife. I do like automatic knives, but here in California, that's a little bit of a challenge. So for years, I have been hoping that Microtech would continue to bring forward manual knives that I could own that were very cool. And of course, you know, they have been. Stuff like that. The Bravo, SOCOM Bravo, which is just... When I got this knife, I didn't buy or collect or trade for another knife for like 4 months. It stalled me completely because this is that good. I love the Matrix here. We're going to see if I love it that much. I guess we'll find out together. I also have a Gen 2 LUDT and a Gen 3 LUDT. If you want... This is the sliciest knife I own. The history of these knives, you know, it was designed for underwater demolition teams. Microtech is really into that. But what they did is they made a razor blade. They're just fantastic cutting tools. They really are. And then, of course, recently I picked up the Amphibian. I went from having 2 Microtechs to 3 to 7. Each of these is fantastic in its own unique way. I know I could technically get rid of the Gen 2 since I have the Gen 3 now, but they're not the same, and I've had this for so long now that I just can't part with it. So let's just kind of break them down. Take a look at what you get. None of these are inexpensive. I wish that was not the case, but that's the way it is. Okay. Microtech has for a long time used whatever steel was most available to them, which is why my Gen 2 LUDT here is in CTS 204P, which is a tool steel. They used to come in a wide variety of steels. Lately, they have gotten together with Bowler, the folks that make M390, and they have made their own subtle variation on M390 called M390MK. Both the Amphibian, the manual stitch, and the LUDT Gen 3 are all in that sort of proprietary Microtech steel. I think that's really cool. These two are made by a company called Reich. Reich is a Chinese knife manufacturing company. Oh, I know. But I'll tell you what, Reich knives are notoriously well made. And yeah, these are both in traditional M390, as I said. These allow Microtech to stay good at what Microtech does, which is aluminum and sort of a simpler design, and allows them to bring to the market a much more available large production, or at least larger production, sort of titanium and fancy inlays. I'm really down with that. Each of these is, as I said, good in its own way. Each of them is sort of unique. None of them are particularly small. The LUDTs are by far the smallest and the easiest in the pocket. But I love this stuff. I didn't have a Microtech Collection, really, until I started, like I said, I started with this one, and then I picked up this one. But even then, I was like, yeah, you know, this company, that company, I like this better, I like that better. But I'll tell you what, in the last 2 years, they have absolutely blown the doors off me and collectors all over the place by bringing to market stuff that is just astonishingly good. Let's put away the old stuff. Let's put away the Auto Stitch and the old Gen 2 and look at what they've done in just the last couple of years. First and foremost, even their sort of simpler designs, leaving out the Reich stuff, the straight Microtech stuff, we're talking about really interestingly milled aluminum. We're talking about titanium backspacers and parts. Their new ram lock is simply fantastic. It is kind of a bar lock, except as you can see, it's got this spring back here, which is relatively firm, which controls the tension on the crossbar. Both of these are in that same vein and design. Both of them are just astonishing knives. They really are. I don't have an MSI yet. I will. That'll be down the road a ways. I just like to complete this. But again, here's the LUDT that they came out with. Now, this is a straight working tool, designed and looks just that way. It's perfect for what it is. The Gen 3 is a little fancier. This is actually M3, sort of basically grip tape inlaid into the aluminum, which I think is very cool. But it also has, as where this is just two pieces of aluminum that are brought together at a center seam, the Gen 3 has got this fantastic tie backspacer, very much in line with their overall design aesthetic that's going on right now. Here's what I love about collecting pocket knives. You can say, I don't collect that brand, or, you know, I don't like this or I don't like that. But if you give it enough time, eventually that same company will start doing things that are so interesting, you just can't put them down. Yeah, I really like my Microtech collection. Anyway, I just wanted to share it with you guys. If you're into knives, or if you're just getting into knives, and you live in a place, for instance, where you can't have autos, so stuff like the LUDTs are out of the picture, you know, the big stitch, which for years meant you couldn't have one of these. You can get the full custom Borka stitch if you've got, you know, $3,500 to spend. But until recently, that really limited what you could get from Microtech. And now, as long as large knives are not an issue, and I know that could be a problem in some states, but if you can carry big knives and you're interested, Microtech now makes just an array of tools that are all manual, all legal, as long as you can have a larger than 3-inch blade. I know there are places where you can't, but I'm sorry for that. But luckily I don't live in one of those places. And each of them is so well made. Being a knife collector is a stupid thing. I wish it wasn't, but it is. It's just expensive and it's ridiculous. But every once in a while, like this thing, the SOCOM Bravo, is the best knife I've had in a long time. It remains one of the best knives I've had in a really long time. Look at the design on this thing. It's just beautiful. And now, I get to add this. Now, I didn't buy this. I traded for most of these. I paid cash for a few of them. But you may remember from the channel, I had for a little while an enormous Max Ace knife called the Vortex. It was 3V. It was huge. I just did a video on it not that long ago. In the end, that knife was so big as to, I couldn't even carry it for funsies. Like, it was so big that I couldn't, it just was beyond. So I traded it recently for some other stuff, and this was part of that deal. They make a version of this where this whole secondary bit of framing over here is all carbon fiber. A buddy of mine has one of those. I like it, but I much prefer this one with all the tie. As you can see, it's even got, and this is where the lanyard goes. It's got a little lanyard spot back here, but it's just kind of in line with, well, here it is, right? It fits. They're keeping a design aesthetic across the entire design line now, and I just love it. The most Microtech-y of all the Microtech things I have is not any of these knives. It's actually this ridiculous glass breaker on the back of the Matrix. In the review that I did recently, I talked about this. It's just silly. But, you know, you get what you get. You take what you get and you don't have a fit, right? Anyway, these are my Microtechs. If you guys have any questions about any of these, feel free to ask down in the comments. I would be happy to share whatever information I have. If you're looking for one, I will post links to various places where you might be able to find one. Microtech, for a long time, really depended on what I call FOMO purchasing to sell their knives, which is they'd make small batches and then everybody would rush to get them. That seems to have faded a little bit. They seem to be doing larger production runs, which is making things more available, which is really nice. Let's actually pull these down so that you can see all of them. Anyway, this is the Amphibian. This is the manual stitch. This is the SOCOM Bravo. This is the Matrix. This is the Gen 2 LUDT. This is the Gen 3 LUDT. And that is the automatic stitch. And that's all, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this look at this group of Microtech knives. I know I have enjoyed owning them. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.